Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show.
What's going on, everybody? First intermission, Avs and Preds. Breaking everything down, and I'm going to use the word everything very loosely. Not a lot going on in that first period. Jesse Montano, Meghan Angley, here to break it down. Meghan, like I said, not a lot going on here. Right before we went live, you were like, I don't know, we might need a minute here to find something to talk about. Nikita Prishopov makes his NHL debut. Justus Annunen, a couple nice saves late to keep things close, not to keep things close, keep things tied. But really, Meghan, this is two teams that have not gotten off to the start they wanted, have not really met the expectations of what a lot of people thought that these teams would be coming out of the gate. And it looks like a couple teams that are working to build their confidence back up. Of course, the Avs kind of trying to piecemeal things together. No Matt Steinberg here again. Prishopov called up to help fill in for yet another gap here. Broad strokes. I know we're still kind of, pulling a few numbers, looking at analytics and stuff. I think in general, for a road period, for a team that is in the situation that the Avs are in, you don't hate coming out of that, with it just being a boring period, right?
No. Even though this is a Nashville team that has struggled out the gate, they still have more complete tools available to them in their lineup that they're trying to find some cohesion with, but they at least have those bodies. We've got Nikita Prishopov making his NHL debut just a few months after he was drafted extremely late and has only a few pro games under his belt to speak of. It's an incredibly unusual situation that the Avs are in because the hits just keep coming. But I like the way that they played the first period. I would even go as far to say that the ice maybe is even slightly tilted in their favor just in how they executed throughout the first. I think that Nikita Prishopov did great in his first period of NHL hockey too.
Almost got one there. Nice save from UC Saros right in front, but Prishopov, doesn't look overly timid. It's 20 minutes, but doesn't look overly timid to me.
No, and he had a little bit of a misread in the ozone, and coming back to correct his mistake. Also great stick work on the back check and defended it really well, really professionally. And so to your point, he looks pretty confident out there. And to his credit, he's playing on a line with a guy who thought he was coming to Colorado to play on their fourth line wing and has now been asked to play center. And Nikolai Kovalenko, who's only in his 12th NHL regular season game. So for Nikita Prishopov, that's a lot of kind of a jump, what could look like a jumbled mess, but hasn't. I think that, in the way that they're being utilized, Jared Bednar's being careful in deploying these guys and really relying on the top guys. But 4 minutes of hockey for Prishopov in his debut isn't nothing either. And to your point, he's already registered a hit. He's already registered a shot. He's not afraid to get involved. And I think that playing alongside someone like Kovalenko lends itself to that style of play as well, to hopefully give him some confidence to not shy away from the things that have brought him success so early in his pro career.
Well, I thought the quote from Prishopov yesterday after practice was funny. How he said, I didn't even know if I'd be playing pro hockey this season, and now here I am set to make my NHL debut. You were the one who mentioned it on the show. Was it yesterday? Gosh, I don't even know what day it is anymore, Meghan. How this also isn't just yes, the Avs are deep on injuries right now and you're moving down this depth chart, but Prishopov has earned this call up here. And I think we're seeing some shades of that early in the first period. Again, not a ton of action necessarily for Justus Annunen. Let's see here. I'm just trying to make sure I get the most updated shot totals. We know these change. 10 shots for Nashville in that first period. And again, just solid, making the saves that he's supposed to make. And then some. That's what Jared Bednar tells us all the time that he's looking for. Your thoughts, Meghan, on what we saw from Justus in the first 20?
Well, I like listening to the away broadcast because you can hear their analysis, and they pointed out the calm resolve of Eustace and going to collect a puck. I'm trying to remember the word they even used. He was just settling it with his glove. And I think they used a word like lackadaisical. That wasn't the word, but it was because he just showed no panic in how he went for that puck. Not because he was confused about what was unfolding in front of him. He just was not worried, and it showed in his body language to the point that the broadcasters picked up on it. And that's what I'm seeing from him just in the opening 20 minutes of play. He looks really comfortable in that. I think this hopefully quiets some of the concern around Justus Annunen not backing up in the Kakkonen game. Like, you don't want your hot goaltender to be on the shelf too much, because then when he comes in, he will be out of rhythm. But he looks every bit still in the rhythm that allowed this team to win 5 straight, him getting those 4 starts and 4 wins himself. And I think the team is playing well in front of him also to support that. That's what I think looked better to me on the Avs side of things, even though, Nashville comes ahead in the shots battle just by a little bit. I thought the Avs were defending in their end pretty well and keeping a lot of the play in Nashville's end, even though even the natural stat trick totals coming out of the period tell a slightly different story. It felt like both teams created some dangerous looks in front of both goaltenders. Both goaltenders look good right now. So, they're going to have to solve Saros too, but I love to have Annunen look solid in net on the other side of that conversation.
Well, and we had the conversation this week on the show, and people are asking the question about, do the Avs play better in front of Justus Annunen than they are Alexander Georgiev? And you use the word calm there. And really, Megan, I think that's what it is. The Avs just look a little bit more calm, a little bit more collected right now with Justus Annunen in net. And I think a lot of that is a product of the fact that he's very calm, very collected, no real panic in his game. And again, you're mentioning the you don't want him sitting for too long. What I like about what we saw in that first period, 40 minutes to go, granted, but what I liked about what we saw in that first period, Megan, was he had a few days off. He had one game where he didn't even dress, and he came in, and it looks like he hasn't missed a beat from where he was in those last 4 games. We talked early in the season about, as a goaltender in Annunen's position where you're trying to earn minutes here, you've got to make the most of the minutes you've got. This, to me, is just another example of him really doing a good job of saying, hey, I haven't played in a week. There was one game where I was in the press box, but that's all right. I'm going to come in. I'm calm, cool, collected, and just can kind of pick up right where I left off. And I think that calming effect spills over to the rest of the team a little bit.
This feels like a game that is for the taking for either team right now. So I want to be careful, too, in talking kind of positively, because I do feel it's tilted ever so slightly in the Avs' favor. But Nashville has the horses up front to be able to make this a very different final 40 minutes. And so the Avs just have to continue what they did in the first period and build upon it. I like, too, that different guys are trying to jump up into the play and create chances as well. Seeing Kiviranta go for the backdoor look on UC Saros. That's exactly what you need to see. Prishapov getting his first shot on net. I want to see more from everybody in, the final 40 of this game too. It's going to come down to more than just the top guys who are absorbing a lot of the responsibility to start here. They're going to need to dig kind of deep because this is a Nashville team looking to break their poor streak that they've had lately, and a Nashville team that really needs the moral victory right now.
Yeah. I wanted this comment here on the screen. I just kind of want your take on it. Joel Kiviranta skating with that top line. Look, he's produced here early in the season. He's had some jump in his game, but really just the Kovalenko part of it, because you did mention he's skating with Prishapov and Parker Kelly. Like, your thoughts on Kovalenko? Would you like to maybe see a little bit of a change there with that top unit? Personally, given where they're at right now, I don't have a problem with Kiviranta skating on that top line since he's shown some finish, but just your thoughts.
I think it's a combination of things. I think part of it is wanting to make that third line a little more dangerous, and it's actually viewed as a reward of sorts for Kovalenko. Like, he is the piece that elevates that line. And Kiviranta might not have that same effect, whereas Kiviranta can be complementary to the top line just the same way that Kovalenko could. I don't think that Kiviranta could elevate the third line the way that Kovalenko does. And in what they're missing from Ross Colton from that top line. I think Kiviranta can bring some of those elements in his game to the top line to kind of replenish what was just taken away from them with Ross Colton's injury. And that is his puck battles. You know, he's willing to engage in battles along the board, win pucks, help just keep possession alive for that top line. And so he's a really good neutral complementary piece for the top guys. Again, Kovalenko could also do that. I just think Kovalenko has more skill to inject into that third line and make it a little bit more balanced.
That's an interesting point about like, I think that's something that even, you just got me doing it. You forget that like, yeah, you're trying to balance all the lines. You're not just trying to load up one line. You're not trying to, all right, well, who are the best 3 players that we can put together? It's like, you got to make sure you've got a little bit of a balanced attack here, especially when you are as shorthanded as the Avs are. Got to make sure that you're stretching whatever depth that you do have as far as you can stretch it. Megan, you want to see them get a little bit more dangerous offensively, but for the most part, I think you just want to see them build on what they did in that first period. Look, this is not all that similar to that crazy game a couple years ago in Nashville when they had to play with like 17 guys. Obviously, they got a full roster tonight, but like you're so shorthanded roster wise. You're what's the right way to say this? You're just trying to make sure that you're keeping your head above water and that you're just staying in these games. I like what they did in that first period. See if you can get a little more dangerous offensively, and just try to get out of this one as best you can. What do you want to see the rest of the way for the Avs, for them to get on the board, build a win, and eventually, skate out of Nashville with 2 points?
I like the way that they're creating right now. I'd like to see them shoot just a little bit more, but what I like is that they haven't tried to get too cute with it. And that's what I need to see them continue to do, because that's where I think that they open themselves to more risk and vulnerabilities going back the other way. And that would cost them in this game. And Nashville, in listening to the broadcast ahead of time, they're using the word disconnected a lot for this Nashville group. I still want to see the Avs leverage the fact that while they might be down a lot of bodies, they do have some things that they've been building together, especially with the core guys that are at the top of this lineup, that I want to see them leverage. I want them to continue to play kind of a simple game, not get too cute with it. But I also want to see them get a little bit more dangerous offensively, just like you said. I think that they were on the doorstep of some good chances, but I think they can be on the doorstep of more.
Well, and you picked it up perfectly, because I was trying to think of the right way to say it. You can't get too cute in a game like this with the roster that the Avs have, with the lineup that they are, playing with right now. No slight to some of these guys who have drawn into the lineup, who have been called up, but just given the depletion of depth they've got, you just got to keep it simple. That's, I guess, what I was mostly trying to say, and you hit the nail on the head. They're not trying to get too cute. This is they're playing clean hockey right now. They just got to continue to do that, up that offensive pressure and intensity a little bit. And I think the Avs aren't going to roll over just because they're shorthanded in the lineup. I think that was mostly what we saw there in that first period.
I want to see them get excited too, because they are going into a second period. They're not down. They're not chasing this game. So they don't need to play from a place of panic or desperation. And that's what I want to see. What does this Avalanche team look like when they didn't give up 3 goals in the first period? Yeah. That is kind of a cynical way to look at it, but I hope that gets them a little energized then, because I think they've entered a few second and third periods chasing games so much to start this year that I hope that they can almost relish in this moment.
Yeah. Love it. Megan, we got about 45 seconds till they drop the puck on period 2. So we're going to jump out. We'll be right back here after the second period to break that down. Then we'll wrap everything up after the game as well. So make sure you guys have your reminders set. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel and hit the reminders so you get the notification when we're live. We'll be live on YouTube and X coming up after the second period. Avs PREDS 0-0. We'll talk to you after the next 20. Thanks so much, guys. Talk to you then.